as you could see on the screen, we have heard Eleanor Stever sing the very, very difficult aria Pace Pace Mio Dio from opera La Forza del Destino by the great Maestro Giuseppe Verdi. And before I forget, please like this video if you would like. I'm not sure if a dissection episode could be, if we could still add it to the dissection season because we are basically in the final recording of the episodes, or maybe for another season because this is I was planning on adding it to a season where we talk about the most difficult opera arias, and I would like to add Pace Pace Mio Dio. So there are several places where we could make this one fit. If you feel like it, please like this video. This doesn't mean that you like the video. It just means that you would like more extensive work on this area to be presented here in our space on YouTube. And as you can see on the screen, we are going back to this channel that I have recommended several times before, Opera Turkiye, which has made the the owner of the channel has made a great job in putting together a good number of versions of given arias and some other operatic material for people who like comparisons. In this case, he has a comparison of a good number of singers singing Pache Pache Mio Dio. And the reason why I decided to share with you Eleanor Stiver's version is because it's one of the very few who sing it as written. If you noticed, and if you have followed if you're not a musician or a singer, and you've been following the videos of essentials for non-musicians or singers, you are already pretty much aware of what we are putting on the screen, the part of the score. So it reads maledizione, 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 and it is written as maledizione, going for the high note for ne, but basically nobody does it. We are going to get back to that fact later. It is usually added a fourth time, maledizione, maledizione, and it is in the O where the high note is put, where it is in the E, maledizione, it is where the high note is usually put. So that's why all this talking, just to justify why I chose Eleanor Stever. The one that adheres more to how it is written. Out of this list, there are only three or four who actually sing it closer to written, even though she chooses also to go "Maledictio," to go on a "oh" instead of an "eh." Um, Sound still adheres more to what is written. Also, you will notice that the list of singers here included is pretty much very good. We have several spinto sopranos. We have one dramatic soprano. That would be the case of Virgit Nielsen, which was a great surprise for me. We also have Gena Dimitrova, Leonid Rysanek. We also have Cavalier, a more lyrical soprano. So there is a good number of singers here where you can compare and see the one that you like the most. Unfortunately, and that takes us to the true content of our video today. Again, everybody, and I know that this compendium has an orientation towards the final note, towards the si bemol of the maledizione. So everybody thinks that having a conversation around Pace Pace Mio Dio has to do on whether the high note at the end is good, whether it is long, whether it is bright, where the complications of this area are more than just the maledizione, maledizione, maledizione. So I am going to be sharing with you now the first one that is missing in this compendium, and the one that is missing, and that I know that many people asked, why is it not there? It's Leontyne Price. Leontyne Price, the American soprano, the American dramatic soprano, who built a career on singing the heavy soprano roles. Her most relevant roles being, of course, Leonora di Vargas, here in La Forza del Destino, and Aida herself, also a Verdian opera. Leontyne Price, of course, a very important soprano. Uh, And I have to say it now, she has some trouble in the homogeneity of her register. There are very clear uneven areas around her register, and that is the reason why I did not choose this one as my preferred one. Again, my clarification for fanaticism that you like one more than the other doesn't mean that the other ones are trash. That just means that you lean towards one or the other for a reason or two. And I am going to be giving you my rationale on why I chose the other one. But still, I think Leontine Price's version is fairly good. Um, I want to share with you now. Of course, I also wanted to mention that the low notes in Leontine Price here in Pache Pache Mio Dio hmm, are not good, are really weak. And so that makes me not choosing Leontine Price. Of course, many people know will jump here and say, "Hey, but you must have chosen Leontine Price version in concert in the Metropolitan of the 1960s, where blah blah blah." And she keeps the final note for very very long. I am aware of that recording, and the reason why I didn't choose it, or the reasons why I didn't choose it, is are basically two. One, I'm going to be comparing the one I like from a live opera recording, which means the soprano has endured the whole opera, which is very different when you just stand up, sing an aria, and leave. The difficulties, of course, are more challenging when you are performing the complete opera on a stage. So we are comparing apples to apples. So Leontine Price on the whole opera. And the second is that I am aware that his Malediction is super long but is unnecessarily long. It loses all sense. The suffering of Leonora de Vargas loses all sense when you just keep malediction for just fan service. It may work for a concert, and in fact, if you listen to the orchestration, it's purely fan service, and that's why I didn't choose that one because I know Leontine Price can do better. But I would like first to call your attention to the final part. We have had the score on the screen, but it's time that I move it to the place that I want because of course we all are aware of the final ending maledizione, maledizione, maledizione. But before that, we have a phrase that it is very, very important. And I am looking for it. Here it is. Oh, I just missed it. Misero pane. Here it is. Misero pane, look at this. Misero pane, a prolungar mi vieni la sconsolata vita. Ma chi giunge, chi profanare ardisce il sacro loco, maledizione, 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 maledizione. The final maledizione, 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 it's just a consequence, of course, of the whole aria, but moreover, the soprano prepares this ending not just in malediction, not only there, the soprano prepares the ending from because she's singing, she comes from making a part before Misero Pane, and sorry that the scroll is not working that well. Uh, In van spero, tan tan tan, tan tan tan. That's where the music enters, and then the soprano goes back and says, Misero pane, a prolungar mi vieni la sconsolata vita. Ma chi giunge, chi profanare ardesci il sacro loco. And all this phrase has to work from a dramatic point of view. Otherwise, it sounds like Puccini singing a long tenuto phrase, and it is not. Uh, Ma chi giunge, chi profanare ardesce il sacro loco, maledizione, maledizione. It's not that. You have to get the drama there, and for that, the soprano needs to project that in her voice. Ma chi giunge, chi profanare ardesci il sacro loco. But that the soprano has to carry the audience with her so that you feel that la desesperance, that you feel that you cannot control it. So when you do that, the maledizione, 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 then it all comes natural. Otherwise, it feels out of place. But let's listen to how Madame Price deals with the ending. Well, I had to stop it there, sorry, but her diction is really horrible. Miserabone. One cannot hear miserabone a prolungar. I am of course exaggerating, but for you to notice that there is a misero pane a prolungar mi vieni la sconsolata vita. Please, Miss Price, pronounce well. If you notice the first times that she sings maledizione, she even skips the syllable. She doesn't say maledizione, maledizione. She says maledizione, maledizione, maledizione. Only in the final one she says maledizione. But I also have a problem with her high note and the sounds. Not that she doesn't reach it, but the thing is that the O has to be like an explosion. Malediction! It has to sound like an explosion, not like you're barely malediction. Let's listen now. Let's go for the one I chose as my preferred one. And I know that there are many who criticize, but Renata Tebaldi was not on her top that night. But Renata Tebaldi has a better recording from the year ta 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 ta. But blah blah blah. I know, I know, I know. Please wait for a couple of minutes for me to give you my reasons. But let's start with taking a look at the pronunciation of each of the syllables, the drama that she's carrying, and how beautiful, explosive the final note is. I remember very well the first time I saw this recording, the complete Pace Pace Mio Dio, and I am going to tell you now why I chose this one. First one, of course, Renata being an Italian, her Italian is perfect, and all the syllables and all and the good diction is there. We listen to each of the sounds, which is not an excuse for non-native sopranos when dealing with Italian. I mean, most of the most famous operas are in Italian. So if you do a lousy job in the pronunciation of your aria in Italian, looks like maybe you should be singing in another language because everybody will notice. So this is an unfair advantage, but Mrs. Price should have studied it. But she only didn't only not only skip the maledizione, maledizione. She remembered I was telling you misero pane, pane, a prolungarmi vieni. And she says, misero pane, a prolungarmi vieni. So her articulation is not very good, opposite to Miss Tebaldi, who does a great job in the articulation of each of the sounds. But also the final malediction, all that bright, powerful, explosive sound, because the maledizione is the conclusion, is the climax of the aria. That's how it must sound. But what not that's not what makes me like it even more. If you notice, she starts running before stopping her note. For people who don't sing, let me tell you something. That is absolutely almost close to impossible. You may have noticed that many singers are usually static because there is a certain position of the body to make sure that the diaphragm is running breath, that the limbs are correctly, that the clavicule, that the position of the neck and the throat, and there is a whole bunch of things that people need to do to make sure that the actual phonatory system is working well. So risking, because that's what Renata did, risking to start running before wrapping up her note, even if it was the last couple of seconds, it's for me way too dangerous, and it is for me way too wow. I mean, the quality of the final note and start not running just before you wrap it up, it really takes courage to do it. And of course, when you have a beautiful voice, a beautiful spinto voice such as Tebaldi, you can get away with it. But that is not the only reason why I chose Mrs. Tebaldi's recording over Leontyne Price. It's because, and I'm going to be playing it in the background for most of the part and my final explanation. She is the one who actually cared to read the score. Pace, pace, mio Dio is not an aria that is sung linearly high or only with pianissimo. Maestro Verdi wrote so many things in the dynamics. Listen, for instance, we have the pace needs a crescendo, then a diminuendo. Any soprano just go pace, pace. The second one, it's not a crescendo diminuendo, but it is a diminuendo. And the third one, besides being lower, it's also a diminuendo, which means not only there is a change in the height of the notes and the duration of the notes, but also there is a change in the way, in the dynamics, in the volume that it has to be sung. It continues with a piano, which means that the sound is very intimate. Pace, pace mio Dio, and moves, and there is other note con dolore. You start cruda sventura mi stringe e mi languir come il primo da tanta nidura profondo il mio soffrir. But I wanted to make you notice this because this aria is anything but monotonous. But usually the soprano is so worried about the ending that she sings it all very plain. No nuances, no changes, not anything. All the pace pace mio Dio sounds the same. And Renata cares to work on the pianissimi, to work on the forte, to work on the crescendo, to work on the syllables that need to be emphasized. So, for people who say that they like Pace Pace Mio Dio and just focus on the si bemol of the ending and just want to think that Pace Pace Mio Dio is only about the si bemol, I'm telling you that you are losing the opportunity of taking a look at one of the most complex arias that Maestro Verdi composed. It has so many moments and it evolves in so many ways that it really takes an achieved, mature artist to understand the aria and not giving us a monotonous version and just a splendid or a good or a fair high note at the end. You may or may not be at the top of your vocal resources, but the rest of the things that you do with the aria is what scores as pure artistry. And from my perspective, that's what Renata Tebaldi achieved in this one.